It's not easy living with a disability that is as a result of someone else's mess up. It's not easy living with the knowledge that no one will ever be held accountable. And it's very difficult indeed living in the knowledge that the organisation whose responsibility it is to make life better for you actually places very little value on the limb you lost or the trauma caused, either by the original mess up or their ongoing poor decision making. As you may recall from a previous blog, I was assessed and deemed to be 55% disabled. In fact, that percentage is going to increase because lately I won 2 more appeals, meaning 2 additional medical issues are going to be added to this original mess up. Think about that for a moment. That places me way above the 50% mark, meaning I can now do way less than half of what I used to be able to do. The original treatment injuries were this, due to the fact that multiple medical professionals failed to listen to what I was saying and failed to recognise obvious symptoms. My left leg had to be amputated below the knee. This is not an ordinary outcome and could 100% have been prevented. Therefore, I'm left permanently disabled. Now, I say this like it should be obvious, but there are so many stupid hoops I have to still jump through, as if someone thinks it might grow back or something. Yeah, seriously. I have many other medical issues that are connected to this original left lower leg amputation. Here they are. PTSD, which is severe trauma related to what happened and what is continuing to happen post-surgery. This is managed rather than cured, and it's a lifelong condition. Dysthymia, which is persistent depressive disorder, and this is separate to the PTSD. According to Harvard Health, recovery from dysthymia often takes a very long time, and the symptoms often return. Claudication, which is another one, severe pain associated with the lack of sufficient blood flow to the muscles left in my left leg because of the permanent loss of the main femoral artery. I suffer pain all the time. Lymphedema in the right leg, permanent damage caused by the multiple invasive surgeries on the right side while trying to save the leg. That's also irreversible. When you look at that list, it's a significant amount of emotional and physical trauma, significantly more than just having my left lower leg chopped off. And then I have to deal with the decision makers. To be perfectly blunt, it's pretty hard living with the fact I have to deal with a bunch of decision makers that are quite honestly only seeing me as a statistic and make me argue the point for every single thing that I am entitled to receive. More than 55% disabled, remember that. That means realistically that I will never be able to work full time again. Words that came directly from my GP. That also means that I will have to deal with these delightful decision makers until I reach retirement age and beyond. Constant arguments about access equipment, weekly compensation, psychological trauma, and more are a multiple times a week occurrence. Although being self-employed is much easier for me from a mental health point of view, I am made to feel like making any kind of effort at all is fruitless. The second I make a cent of profit, it is taken off me at the other end. So why the heck should I bother? I ask myself many times. Some common misconceptions of someone in my position. Oh, they'll pay you anyway. Well, that is not true. On more than one occasion, they've stopped my payments without reason or warning, leaving me in financial hardship. One of these occasions, I was forced to go to Wins and ask for a food grant. Last Friday, it happened again. On this occasion, it was some administration mistake. I got the payment 3 days later, thanks to my fast-acting case manager. Meanwhile, I had nothing whilst I waited. No one ever is held accountable to make an apology to me, to compensate me, to admit they did something wrong. Nothing. All that happens is I start another fight. Eventually I get what I was owed. Sometimes it's taken up to 6 months to rectify. Meanwhile, I am penniless. As you can imagine, this in itself is incredibly stressful indeed, especially as it is a regular occurrence and never anything I did wrong or can do anything about. Can you imagine if an employer was to treat you that way? Another misconception: you're okay, they'll cover it. Wrong. I have in the last 3 years filed 8 appeals against decisions they have made regards cover of my injury. I've won 7 of those. The fact is I shouldn't have had to go through it at all. And there's possibly a 9th. Already I have an artery issue. Bullshit, I did not have an artery issue. That's the most absolutely ludicrous decision that they ever made. Remember the significant mental health issues that I already have as a result of this? Well, yes, all of this is adding more to that. Every limb I have been provided, I had to fight about it. The default is, oh great, you can walk from here to there. Well, off you go then, we're done. No consideration is made for the life I used to live, what I used to be able to do. I have done my own research and fought my own battles all the way. Oh, well, you'll be better off than if you were on WINS. Well, not always. For example, WINS pay 4 times more per kilometre in mileage towards costs of travelling and pay twice as much towards hotels if I needed for medical appointments. And I can't opt into that. I also need to add here that I am stuck on 80% of what I earned in 2020. This doesn't and will not change any time in the future until I'm 65. And in fact, they are reducing those payments. And the cost of living is going up. You can swim across Lake Wakatipu, of course you can work full time. What the heck? Yes, I quote. No one sees the fallout of all this, the days in bed with no energy, the apathy, the disassociation, the fight to force myself out the front door, struggling to engage and stay in contact with friends. Or the utter, complete exhaustion, the nights with no sleep, severely disturbed sleep. What about the physical responses to the trauma, severe asthma attacks, phantom pain, which normally I never get, and the many, many times my partner has to pick up my pieces and put me back together again, over and over. And when I can get out and do some exercise, the pain that actually causes me mentally as well as physically, the price I pay later by way of fatigue, the massive amounts of time I need every day just to rest. Some days I can walk, some days I can't. Some days I can ride my bike, others I can't. My shoulders are seriously overworked, and so is my right foot, which is now injured, by the way, as a result. The backache, because my 2 legs physically do completely different things. The severe PTSD I get every time I deal with these people, and every time I have to go to the hospital to visit the limb centre. Remember, this was completely preventable. Now tell me how lucky I am. I dare you.